Hi, Scott Orlin with Cinema Magazine. For those of you who've been waiting anxiously for years, it finally has happened. We have a convergence of the Franco brothers, James and Dave. Congratulations. You're making a movie about one of the worst films ever made.
Worst films.
How precarious of a balance is it that you don't go over the top?
Mm-hmm. Well, in a funny way, I kind of was. I learned how to do this by doing The Deuce, and David Simon has a kind of journalistic approach to all of his subjects. You know, it's very reality based, and that's how he approaches and can go into these very difficult kinds of worlds like the rise of pornography and exploring prostitution in New York in the 70s on The Deuce. And in a strange way, that's kind of how we approached this. We knew that we had, at least with Tommy, a very unusual character that if you didn't know that it was based on a real person, you might think it was kind of, the portrayal was over the top. But I really went at it like realism, you know, that if I just got to capture this guy as close to who he is as possible, and I don't have to exaggerate anything.
The characters and the situations are crazy enough. You just play it as real as possible and let the humor come from that.
Yeah. Let's take a kind of a peel back of Greg, because in a way you think, was this guy a Svengali or something to him? What was his attraction? Because on the surface, I mean, outside of his dynamic personality, he takes this leap of faith.
Greg on the surface seems like the normal one, but he's got his own weird stuff going on, and the fact that he stayed with Tommy on this journey the whole way through.
Yeah, they've been friends for over 20 years.
Right, but I think what you're saying.
They're still making movies together.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But I think what you're saying is that he found an ally, and when you're trying to make it as an actor, it's one of the, you know, they're going after this profession that's very difficult to make it in, and they at least had each other to lean on when they had no one else on their side. So
I think they really kind of pushed each other.
Yeah.
You know, and they both loved movies. Mm-hmm. They were fanatics.
Yeah.
And Tommy saw a partner in Greg, and maybe even Greg sort of represented on the outside what Tommy kind of wanted to be, I think, you know, in the sense that Greg sort of did have this James Dean quality, and Tommy's hero was James Dean, and then I think in Tommy, Greg must have seen somebody that had no limits. Mm-hmm. Tommy would just, you know, he'd say, you want to go to James Dean's, you know, death site? Mm-hmm. Let's go now, in the middle of the night, you know, and there was nobody else around him with that kind of fanaticism and passion.
Let me ask you, I mentioned the word leap of faith. I think you're actually going to introduce, maybe for the first time in a major mainstream picture, a cocksock. Most people don't get a chance to see that or utilize it.
It's true.
So I was wondering how interesting was that to wear it and to view it?
Because, it's usually done, but no one sees it. It's usually done for, like,
a
sex
cocksock
scenes.
is not supposed to be seen
Yes.
by the public. But we're showing the behind the scenes.
Right.
And, in fact, that was also that depiction of Tommy directing a sex scene and not putting a robe on, and, you know, as he was, you know, directing, was based on, I think, how it really went down.
Last question for you. Obviously, as kids, even though there's a 7-year age difference, you played as kids. Now that you're adults and you make a movie together, is it still the same? Are you still playing?
I think so. I mean, I remember there was a moment on set where someone came up to me and just said, like, hey, man, you're making a movie with your brother and your wife and your some of your closest friends. Like, how insane is that? And it was one of those times where I just took a step back and was like, wow, like, I am so fortunate to be in this situation. And I just tried to keep reminding myself that whenever I would get stressed out. But for the most part, it's like I was surrounded by people I love, and we were able to play and have fun and be silly. And when you're working with people that you can collaborate with in that way, that's when the best stuff comes about.
I think about one of my heroes and models is Bryan Cranston, and he's in our movie, and I've worked with him at least 3 times, and he talks about it, I think, in his book, that he keeps his life sane and organized so that he can be crazy in his work. And I have really come to try to follow that model, and we do have a crazy wild job, and it's the best job in the world, and we do get to play, but it's a specific kind of play. But if you get to do that with your family and friends, it's the best kind of play.
Like me right now. James David Franco, thank you so much. And this is Scott Orlin. Until next time.
Thank you.